Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another video, and in this video we are going to go over a workflow that we will create from scratch, and that workflow will actually take input from a Google Sheet list of all the URLs, and it will scrap that page, try to find an email address and write that email address to our Google Sheet. So let's start this workflow and create it. So we will be using ChatGPT to actually write the code where we need, so it will be easier for anyone who actually needs to code and have access to ChatGPT. So let's start with manual trigger because we will trigger it manually. The next step will be getting our Google Sheet as an input so that we can read and write data to that sheet. So we can just create a edit field that will actually be used as input. So we will tell it Google Sheet URL. So here I'm going to create a new sheet.new, and I will say input URLs. Okay, so the next thing would be just save it manually over here so that this variable contains the link. And now the next thing will be read sheet. So we will go to Google Sheet and we will actually get all rows. So we will see what options we have. So what we need is basically get rows in sheet. So I already have a connection to my Google Sheets, so I already have a video about this. If you want to connect Google Sheets, you can just see that video in my description and you will be able to connect it. And now what we are going to do is get rows from, I will select URL, and here in the previous node we already have URL. I will just drag and drop over here, and from list you can select the tab which is default name for this Google Sheet tab, and I'll try to execute and see what we are going to have over here. So we didn't got anything because sheet doesn't have anything. So now what we will do is just write URL, and I will write my own website URL so that we can use it as a reference. And now I will execute this, and you should be able to see the URL over here in the Google Sheet. So that's good. Now we have URL. The next thing is we need to fetch all the data from that URL. So we have two options. One is request, which is a HTTP request. Second is we can use JavaScript as well. We can just tell ChatGPT to write a code, it will do the same. So what we can test is just first make sure we give this URL, and we will do a GET request. We don't need to do any authentication. You can add an options in the headers. For example, if you want to add headers, if you want to add any follow redirects and stuff like that, that will be useful when you are actually doing it for bulk. So that information is really good, and it actually makes sure you are not being blocked. So let's go with this simple version first and see what it's going to get from the URL. And you can see we have all the data over here from that page, and it is actually fetching all the HTML. Next step will be code, and in the code we will write a code that will be in JavaScript, and it will actually try to fetch all the emails from this code. So easiest way would be to just go to ChatGPT, and here you can find write a code in JS that I will be using in n8n. It will have, so what we are going to do is we will just drag this one over here. Now we know what input we will be So this is the variable that will be used as an input. So it will have this as input, and you need to extract all the emails from that page. So the better way would be, you can also give it a screenshot so that ChatGPT actually knows what you have on your screen. So it will be easier for ChatGPT to understand what you are trying to do. So I'm very sure it will give us the right output on the first test, but if something is complex, you actually need to test it a lot of times. So I will click execute, and it has actually extracted the email and save that over here. So now the next thing will be, we need to update the Google Sheet. So update row in sheet. So we can actually create another one, and we can call it outputs. Okay, so I'll say this as an output, and then by URL I'm going to use that variable where we have our Google Sheet link, and from the list we can see our output. And now what we need is basically just, we can choose automatically as well, because we will know exactly first row from the first sheet is the output. And now we are going to execute this code. Okay, so we have a problem. Now let's see what it is. In our input we have URL as column name, so of course in our output we need to have email as a column name so that we can put the email over there. And now when we will actually execute and try to do it automatically, it should be able to give us the output, but it's not giving anything in automatic. So now we will do that manual. So it's fetching columns, and now in the email we need to put this variable over here, and let's execute the script, and we should be able to save it. Please check your parameters. Invalid using match. So we will just use it as 1 because it starts from first column. And now you should be able to see your output over here in the first. So this script is done, and now we can see we have one URL, and we are actually extracting all the emails from that URL, and then we are saving it over here. Now next thing is, if you want to do this for multiple URLs, you need to use loop. So in the next video we are going to discuss about loops, and we will use the loop to actually improve this further. So if you need any help with your company custom automations, I can help you do automations and implement automation and AI into your company. So if you want to see how I can help you, I have a URL in the description. You can book a free 15 minutes call, and let's discuss how can I help you.